What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about strictly the NBA. And I want to start with some of the Christmas games that occurred on Christmas Day. So the first game of the day was the Philadelphia 76ers heading to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. A game in which they won. A game in which James Harden and Joel Embiid played very well. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I just remember both of them being very dominant. They got the win over the Knicks, who had been one of the best teams in the NBA. They're 8-2 over their last 10 games. And just before that game on Friday, the Sixers beat the Clippers in a game in which they were down by over 20 points. And they came back, and the star of that game, Joel Embiid, did drop his 44 points. He was insane. But James Harden led the way with a career-high 21 assists. And it's starting to look like the Sixers have figured out this dynamic with James Harden and Joel Embiid, with Tobias Harris being the third option as of right now, with Tyrese Maxey being injured. It's crazy to think that the Sixers have gone on this stretch of games where they're just being so dominant, and they've been without Tyrese Maxey, who is arguably their second best scoring option after Joel Embiid. And it just looks like the Sixers are starting to turn a page. They may, like I said, they may have figured it out between James Harden and Joel Embiid. It'll just come down to what they're going to do come postseason time. And with the Sixers, it's like they haven't been to the conference finals since forever. And so that's going to be their stepping stone. Can they get to a conference finals with Joel Embiid playing the way he is? The leading scorer in the NBA right now, maybe in the MVP conversation as well. He's been in that conversation for the last few years, but hasn't been able to win it. And so that's the Sixers. There's a lot of games, so I'm going to try and speed through some of them. The next game I want to talk about was the Celtics and the Bucks, because many people have been saying throughout the season that these two teams, the Celtics and the Bucks, are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. It's those two, and then everybody else. But it doesn't look like that with the way the Sixers are playing and the way the Nets are playing. But going back to this game, it was pretty disappointing if you're a Bucks fan, because one, you were without Chris Middleton, just like they were in the playoffs last year, so you didn't get to play them at full strength. And then two, it kind of looked like they didn't make any adjustments for the stuff that haunted them in that playoff series last year, mainly giving up three-pointers. The Celtics are one of the best, if not statistically, the best three-point shooting team in the NBA. And that was part of a reason why they got off to such a hot start in the beginning of the season, because they were shooting as a team over 40% from three. Everyone was shooting lights out. And the Bucks basically said that we're just going to give them open three-pointers and not contest them. And they went on to pay for that, because they made a bunch of threes. The Bucks couldn't make any threes, just like how it was in the series last year. And it was the same result. It almost looked like a rinse and repeat of Game 7 that the Celtics won by blowout after the Bucks shot 4 of 33 from 3, and I believe the Celtics set a franchise record in three-pointers made in a playoff game, over 20 or something like that. And so, if you're a Bucks fan, yes, you want Chris Middleton to come back, but they also need to make some adjustments in terms of their personnel and their defense. Maybe they trade for Jay Crowder, package guys like Grayson Allen, get a wing defender who can be a 3-and-D guy, and give Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown a little more trouble scoring, because it looked like last year, and it looked like in that game yesterday on Christmas Day, they were scoring with ease, and it wasn't really that hard for them to get to their spots, get what they wanted. And we know, obviously, fans are clamoring for it. When is Giannis going to guard the other team's best player, or guard them when they get hot? They're not going to do that, because that's not how they run their defense, but they need to run a defense that involves giving up less three-pointers and making that a little hard for them to get shots off, because they're getting beat by guys like Grant Williams and Al Horford, who are just making threes all over the place. And yesterday, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combining for 70 points. Those are two great players. They'll do that against any team. But the thing that haunted them in the playoffs last year was 30-point games from Al Horford, 27-point games from Grant Williams. Those guys cannot, and that's their game plan. They're going to say, let everyone else beat you. But if you're getting 30 from Al Horford and over 20 from Grant Williams, and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are already giving you at least 25, what we expect from them, you're asking to lose. So you have to be able to do something that takes away the amount of three-pointers that the Celtics make. And right now, the logic says that the Celtics should definitely beat the Bucks again based on the way they're going to play them. But we'll just have to see what happens in terms of deadline moves with trades and their health, with Chris Middleton hopefully coming back soon, recovering from injury. I think they rushed him back too early. That's probably what happened, and that's why he's missed the last 5 or so 6 games. And so the next Christmas game that I want to talk about was the Nuggets game, the last game, because Nikola Jokic dropped 41, 15, and 15. And if I had to guess right now, I would tell you, everyone, all basketball fans, to prepare for Nikola Jokic to be named MVP for a 3rd straight year. I just think it's going to happen. The Nuggets are at number 1 or near number 1 in the West. They have their full team, Jamal Murray. They could be the best team in the NBA record-wise at the end of the regular season. You never know how things are going to turn out. And Nikola Jokic is just putting up insane numbers, probably better than the ones he was putting up last year, or better than the ones from when he won his first MVP. So I'm like, if you look at Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, they're definitely a contender. And then, like I said, you have Jamal Murray coming back. Michael Porter Jr. is still out. Aaron Gordon, who had that vicious dunk against Landry Shamet, I believe, he was the one taking the charge. And so I just think Jokic is a player that the media could give a 3rd straight MVP to, because he's doing things that are unprecedented. I talked about in my last video about how he had the 40-point, 27-rebound triple-double. Him, Elgin Baylor, and Wilt Chamberlain are the only 3 players to ever do that in NBA history. So I just think we're looking at a 3rd straight MVP for Nikola Jokic, and a guy hasn't won 3 straight MVPs in forever. I think Larry Bird was the last guy to do it, and we could be seeing history with Jokic at the end of the regular season. And there's obviously some other candidates too, like Giannis, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, guys who are having incredible seasons. But I just think, given the fact that he's already won 2 MVPs, I'm not sure there's going to be voter fatigue that we saw with Giannis after he won his 2nd one, or LeBron throughout all those years when he should have won more than 4 MVPs. He should definitely have more than 4, but I think we saw some voter fatigue. But I'm not sure we're going to see that with Jokic, and I think it's just because of how he plays. He definitely caters to how the media likes to interpret the game of basketball. He's a very analytical player. All the advanced analytics support him basically maybe being the best player in the NBA, even though I don't think that's true, because I value defense. But all the offensive analytics tell you that Jokic, he's number 1 in like literally everything, like PER, all the other stats. He's at or near the top, and so I think Jokic could win his 3rd straight MVP. It's still early in the season. We're not even in January yet, but he's been playing really good. And last point on that, I think if he were to win his 3rd straight MVP, he would be very deserving of it. I didn't think he deserved it last year. I would have given it to Joel Embiid or Giannis. I thought he deserved it the year before when he won it over guys like Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid. I think Giannis was a top 5 finalist in that too. But I think Jokic, if he won MVP this year, I would take my hat off to him, because I think it would be a deserving award. He definitely deserves it. He would definitely deserve it, but I don't know if he's going to win it. And so it's going to be a very tight MVP race this year. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that. And then just one last thing to finish off this video. I want to go back to the Sixers, and I want to go back to James Harden, because before the 76ers-Knicks game tipped off, Woj dropped a Woj bomb on Christmas, a Christmas Day Woj bomb, that James Harden has interest in going back to the Rockets this summer in free agency, because he does have a player option in the 2-year extension that he signed. He's playing through the 1st year of it right now, and he can decline the 2nd year and go wherever he wants, because he'll be a free agent. And James Harden did address these comments or these rumors after the game. I don't know what he said, because I didn't watch the clip. So he has addressed it. But my thoughts on this would be, I'm not sure this would be the best move for the Rockets, because they're trying to develop guys like Jalen Green and Jabari Smith. And in order for Jalen Green, he's going to be the main guy that they want to develop all the way to be that player that they think he can be. I don't think a guy like James Harden is going to help him get there. And he has shown in Philly that he's willing to be more of a playmaker, but I'm just not sure with him needing the ball to facilitate and score. I think that's going to take away from Jalen Green. And then I don't think it would make sense basketball-wise for James Harden to go back to the West. I think it's still just too stacked with teams like the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, who are getting better, Denver, who we talked about, Dallas, Golden State, who still has a chance to resurge. They beat the Grizzlies, who John Morant said that he doesn't fear anyone in the Western Conference. He might want to think about that because the Nuggets blew out the Grizzlies and the Warriors did. And those are two very good teams when healthy. So back to James Harden. It just doesn't make sense basketball-wise or for the Houston Rockets to bring him back. I think you should see it through in Philly. I think if Philly makes a deep playoff run, there's no way he'll leave because then that they'll know that this works. Deep playoff run, maybe win a finals, who knows. If either of those things happen, I don't see him leaving. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts about the rest of the NBA season. This is when people really start paying attention to basketball, sort of after Christmas, because NFL playoffs are coming up. So the NFL is going to be done pretty much in the next month or so because the Super Bowl is in February. So we have all of January, then like a little bit of February for NFL, and then it's done. And then NBA will start heating up. So let me know who you guys think, anything about the NBA, NFL, anything. Let me know who your guys' all-star selections would be because voting has started. Let me know what you guys think about the MVP conversation, and let me know what you guys thought about the Christmas Day games. Thanks for watching this video, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and find all my content linked in the description.